All right, everyone. We're going to have a game seven.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 of bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, and Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. The best way to get a hold of us is right here on the YouTube page. And go to that hashtag Everyday Sully. Put that on there. Helps us find your comments. And there you go. Let's go through the trivia question. We had the fellas from Lockdown Blue Jays on the other day. That was a fun show we did. The trivia question was Blue Jays related. Who recorded the first save in Toronto Blue Jays history? Well, I can tell you the most recent save wasn't tonight. Argonaut Comedy, he's an everyday, and I know it's a he, is an everyday. Sully says Pete Vukovich, first ever game in 1977. That's right, the first ever game, which was nearly snowed out in 1977. And the Toronto Blue Jays had Pete Vukovich come in to get the save. Two things about Pete Vukovich. One, you may know, and the other you also may know. Pete Vukovich was the ace of the 1982 American League champion Milwaukee Brewers, won the Cy Young Award as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. Thank you very much. And later, when he was a consultant on the film, in the film Major League, he was later cast as the big Yankee slugger. He was a former pitcher, but he looked, the big burly dude with a big mustache was cast as the big Yankee slugger in Major League, and was apparently very funny when he was working as a consultant with David Ward, the director, and he just said, "I want to put you in there." And so there you go, Pete Vukovich, movie star. We're not here to talk about movies. We're not here to talk about anything else except the fact that, well, Game 6 of the World Series has come and it is gone. And now on November 1st, which is now, we are going to have the final game of the baseball season. And it's not going to be rained out because the Rogers Center has a roof. And, I went on the show the other day because, Blue Jay fans were starting to crow a little bit. And everyone was talking about how, the better team is winning and everything like that. And the Blue Jays impressed us all by taking a 3-2 lead back to Toronto. I warned them, this series is not over yet. And to be fair, most of the Blue Jay fans who responded to that episode agreed with me that they're not crowing too soon. But narratives are malleable. Narratives change after the facts come about. So the whole idea of, well, the Dodgers had the bigger stars, with the Blue Jays with a bit better team. Okay, fine, that's cute. The Blue Jays played like that they cared, they wanted it more, and well, it looked like the Dodgers pretty much wanted it tonight too. Today was a very good game and a very interesting game because the final score was it was 3-1 after 3, and it was 3-1 was the final. So all the scoring took place in the third inning, and the 2 of the 3 Dodger runs came in with 2 outs, and the Blue Jays lone run came with 2 outs. So it was almost a 1-0 game coming along the way. But let's just break a few things down, shall we? Shohei Ohtani got on base twice. He did score a run. He did get a double later in the game, but that didn't really matter. Mookie Betts, who's been downright dreadful in this World Series, got on base a couple of times and got the key 2-run single in the third inning to give them a little bit of wiggle room to make that a 3-run rally instead of a 1-run rally. Yamamoto and Gausman both pitched great. Gausman had the one bad inning. He let up 3 hits in the game. He only 3 hits and 2 walks and 8 strikeouts. But those 3 hits were clustered together in that 3-run third inning. Yamamoto pitched terrific once again. He let up only 1 run. He struck out 6. He only walked 1. But the thing that was different about today's game, as opposed to the Game 2 victory and his complete game victory against Milwaukee in the National League Championship Series, was that Toronto wore him down a little bit. Fouled off pitches. They grinded out counts. So he got to 96 pitches after 6 innings, and they went to the bullpen. And there was a sense, at least for me, that maybe, just maybe, the Jays could get to the Dodgers bullpen. And Robleski, allowed a hit, but he struck out 2. He wiggled out of it. But Sasaki got himself into some trouble in that 8th inning. He let up a single and a walk in a 3-1 game, and was facing Bo Bichette as the go-ahead run, and then Dalton Varsho as the go-ahead run, and managed to get them both out. Okay, wiggled out of trouble. Then came that 9th inning. And by the way, kudos to the Toronto bullpen as well. I mean, Bassett had the 1 bad inning, and the rest of the game was terrific. Varland pitched well. He pitched his 1 1/3 innings and got him through. Fluharty, I understand that's how you pronounce his name, was not dynamite. He only pitched the 3rd inning, but Sir Anthony Dominguez, got him through that inning, and then Chris Bassett came out of the bullpen, struck out a pair of batters. So the Blue Jays bullpen did their job. Sasaki did not look good. And he walked. He wiggled out of the trouble in the 8th inning, but he hit Kirk. And then came the bottom of the 9th was just weird. Let's just face it. The bottom of the 9th was weird because you had the double into left center field. Now I'm gonna say something right now. It was Halloween, and we trick or treaters were coming, and I had the game on, and I was handing out candy while listening to the game. And when it got to that point, the trick or treaters were pretty much done, but my doggie Eleanor needed a walk. So we went down to downtown, pretty much where they shot the movie Halloween. And I was walking Ellie, and I was listening to the Toronto broadcast because it was the bottom of the 9th inning. And if the Blue Jays rallied, I wanted to hear the Toronto broadcasters have the potential Joe Carter moment. Well, when Schumann, is it Schulman is the announcer for the Blue Jays? Forgive me, I don't remember the announcer's name. Barger hits the ball to left center field, and he gets stuck in the padding. And it looks like Straw, who's the pinch runner for Kirk, looks like he's going to score. And then when the center fielder Dean for Los Angeles held up his hands to say, "Hey, it's lodged," the announcer for Toronto went absolutely ballistic, saying it's not lodged. You can pick it up. This is a terrible call. This is going against the Blue Jays. It would have had it be a 3-2 game with Barger on third as the tying run with nobody out. And oh my God, he was inconsolable about what a horrific call it was. And at that point, they took Sasaki out and brought in Glasnow. And when they came back, the announcer of the Blue Jays was like, "Yeah, I looked at the replay. It was lodged. It was lodged." I didn't see it. I just heard it being narrated from not the most reliable narrator in the world. But alas, he said, "Yeah, that was lodged." And when I eventually came back and I saw the video of it, I said, "Yeah, that was lodged. What are you talking about?" But I love games that are do or die because you start to see weird managerial decisions in terms of the pitching staff. And in came Glasnow, and you had runners on second and third, a base hit would tie the game in the bottom of the ninth. Obviously, and a home run would win it. And Clement popped up on the first pitch, which was disastrous. So now Jimenez is up, and he hits the line drive to left field, and in comes Kike Hernandez. And, you know, the GOAT of the game, and it's unfair, but it's true. Addison Barger went 2 for 4, including a ground rule double in the bottom of the ninth, and he became the GOAT of the game because he was too far off of second base. And boom, the Kiki Hernandez's catch had the momentum. He was running in, catched it. He threw it over to Rojas, who made a really interesting catch. And of course, Toronto had to challenge it because what they had a challenge left. What are you going to do? You might as well see if maybe his foot was off the bag or something like that. But Barger was like he was almost such a great hero. And now the only thing anyone's going to remember is him getting picked off. 2 batters came up with the ability to be Joe Carter. 2 batters came up as the potential to win the World Series. One of them was Ernie Clement, and the other was Jimenez. And both of them have had offensive heroic moments in this postseason. And now the Blue Jays are one of the teams in the history of baseball that were one swing away from winning the World Series. Now we will find out later tonight if that will come back to haunt them. But we're going to talk a little bit about what we can expect over the final day of baseball, because this is for everything. Let's talk to our good friends over at PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is the place to go to win big, whether you are watching the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action because you and I make decisions every day. On PrizePicks, you can get paid to be right. Don't miss out on any excitement. If you ever tried it, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play any of these games where you could just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including here in California, Texas, or Georgia. Pick more than or less than if you're playing both football on Sundays or NBA tip-offs. You want to combine your Mahomes and your Currys on your PrizePicks lineup. You know what? You can find out how your projections play out. They have the new stacks feature. It's a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. And if one of your players leaves early because of an injury, the injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. So this is it. This, not to go all one day at a time at you, but this is it. The Dodgers and the Blue Jays are going to play one game. Now, as we're recording this, Max Scherzer is scheduled to pitch Game 7 of the World Series. Scherzer is. Who had that on their bingo card when Scherzer was left off the roster? As for Los Angeles, well, Tyler Glasnow came in to relieve today. Are they going to throw Shohei Ohtani? Is that what we're doing here? Is Shohei Ohtani, is that his big last minute ditch to absolutely clinch the World Series MVP if he comes out and wins Game 7 of the World Series? Using Bassett out of the bullpen. Look, at Bassett's been a great asset, not intended to rhyme there. But are they going to use Lauer, who pitched well out of the bullpen? I mean, is that what they're? I mean, essentially everyone is available. We all know that, and they didn't use Hoffman at all. But there you go. I mean, Max Scherzer was left off the freaking roster in the what was it, in the division series against New York, and here he is pitching Game 7 of the World Series. Now, Max Scherzer pulled out a great game in that second game he pitched against the Seattle Mariners, and talk about a series filled with potential Hall of Fame legends. We know that this is going to be the end of the line for Clayton Kershaw. What if they started Kershaw? I mean, he's only pitched what, 2 innings his entire postseason? What if this is a complete throwback where they're going to have Max Scherzer versus Clayton Kershaw? I don't know. I think they're probably going to throw Ohtani. But one thing, he pitched very well. Thank you very much in the his one start against Seattle. He also started the 18 inning game. Only he didn't get through the fifth. But who's starting this is almost irrelevant in so many ways because, as I said before, this is going to be a game where the bullpens are just going to be, everyone's going to be on a short leash, unless, of course, it's Ohtani. And they probably have to pitch him, right? I don't know, but like the interesting thing is the player of the game in so many ways last night was Mookie Betts because he's been dreadful, and they had dropped him from the lineup because you're going to walk Ohtani left and right because you saw that Betts was struggling. Well, he came through today. Teoscar Hernandez didn't have a big day today, but we all know anyone can have one big day, and that's the thing with this Game 7 happening tomorrow, or actually tomorrow, hell, in about 17 hours from now, from when I'm recording this. This game is going to be the only game people really remember from this year, or this would probably be the one game people remember. This will probably be the one moment everyone remembers. So anyone could have a good game, one good game. If Ohtani has a big game, then if Ohtani pitches and gets the victory, then I'm sorry, we have to crown him of having the greatest postseason ever. If he wins Game 7 of the World Series as a starting pitcher and bats over 300 with an OPS in the thousands and hits 3 home runs in one game, I'm sorry, you don't bring anyone else up. This is the greatest postseason anyone's ever had. If Freddie Freeman has a big game, then he is going to just cement himself when he gets to the Hall of Fame as one of the big postseason performers of all time. Lest we forget the huge home runs he hit for the Braves when they won the World Series in 2021. If Betts has a big game, no one's going to remember his slump. No one's going to remember the times when he wasn't hitting well. If Kiki Hernandez or Tommy Edman or anyone like that, then they'll be looked at as guys who are like, man, they came up so big in the postseason. Likewise, Springer has a big game. Lucas has a big game. Bo Bichette might be his final game with the Blue Jays. Or Vladdy Jr. has a huge game, then he is just cemented. Then if Vladdy Jr. has a huge game tomorrow and the Blue Jays win, then he is going to be at a point in his career where he will officially be in just pad your stats. If that happens, if Vladdy Jr. has a strong game tomorrow and the Blue Jays win, that's all he'll, at that point, just keep having good years. Keep putting up home run numbers, keep having a good on base percentage, keep having good OPS, hit some career milestones, and you will join your father in the Hall of Fame. If Max Scherzer wins, then then his legend is going to go off the charts. If Clayton Kershaw has a big one, I probably already mentioned someone who is going to be a huge star tonight. And that will be the name synonymous with this entire series if it happens. And that's what's so surreal about all this, is this series, which began in March, is going to end in November. And at this moment, despite all the great 18 innings one day and a wild double play to end this one, we still don't know which person is going to be synonymous with this World Series. And that's just surreal. As of this recording, Shohei Ohtani is in the World Series is batting 318. His on-base percentage is 500. His slugging is in the 800s, and his OPS is 1.364. That's pretty dang good. Throw in the fact that he also has thrown he's thrown 6 innings where he struck out 6 batters. So that's pretty. I'm going to say that's a good one. The other person to bring up is, as I mentioned, as of this recording, Vladdy Jr. is batting 360, on base percentage of 500. His OPS is 1.140. He has hit a pair of home runs. That's not bad at all. Also, as of this recording, Yoshinobu Yamamoto has won both of his starts. He's thrown 15 innings. He's struck out 14 and 15 innings and has walked 1 batter in his 2 starts and won both of them to an ERA of 1.20. So he has to be in the conversation for the MVP. But we don't know. And it's really, really tickling me to know that. And for Blue Jay fans, you better hope you win. Because if you don't, then the Blue Jays are going to belong to a fraternity that, quite frankly, you don't want to belong to. And we're going to talk about them in just a moment. Hey, let's talk about our good friends over at FanDuel. Now, FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association, and there's no better place to get in on the NBA action. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at even a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. This is our first Game 7 of the World Series in this decade. The last World Series Game 7 we had was 2019, which is an incredibly underrated game, I think. When Washington came back, they were losing 2-0 in the 7th. Rendon homered, and then Howie Kendrick hit the home run off the pole, and suddenly the Nats had the lead. And then one of the most baffling managerial decisions I've seen in a while, where they would not bring in Garrett Cole, and the bullpen gave Washington a little bit of wiggle room. But that was a great game because the whole game, it looked like the Astros were just going to hold on and win it in front of their home fans. And instead, it became the Nats title. But there are a few teams in baseball history who got to within one swing of winning it all, not one pitch away. There have been several teams that have been gone to the ninth inning or the bottom of the 10th or whatever, be 3 outs away from winning. We saw, that's happened with the 97 Cleveland Indians were in that position when the Marlins rallied. The 2001 New York Yankees were in that position when the Arizona Diamondbacks rallied. Obviously, the Red Sox in '86 and the Rangers in 2011 got to within one strike of winning the World Series twice. And the Kansas City Royals came back with a little help from Don Denkinger when they were 3 outs away from losing the '85 World Series. But there is a different category of teams that got to within one swing of winning the World Series. And the most recent one where that happened, again, this happened twice in the same game, was the Cleveland Indians in 2016. They went to the bottom of the 9th against the Cubs after the rain delay and the most overrated pep speech in the history of Major League Baseball. Jason Hayward gave up and gave a speech to the Cubs and pumped them up. Good for you. I'm sorry. That always made me roll my eyes, as if nobody in the Cleveland locker room was saying anything to pump them up either. It's ridiculous that got so much credit. You can't get yourself pumped up to Game 7 of the World Series. But the Cleveland Indians, after the Rajai Davis home run, went to the bottom of the ninth, and it was Carlos Santana, Jason Kipnis, and Francisco Lindor. If any one of them hit a home run, Cleveland would have won the World Series. And Kipnis hit a deep drive that hooked foul. And then when the Cubs took a 2-run lead, the Indians carved it to 1 run, and Mike Montgomery was facing Michael Martinez. And if Michael Martinez hit a home run off of Mike Montgomery, Cleveland would have won the World Series. Instead, he grounded out. 2 years prior, the Kansas City Royals, when the Gordon hit got past it was Hector Blanco in center field for the Giants, let the ball roll past him. He went all the way to third, and Salvador Perez came up against Madison Bumgarner. Now Madison Bumgarner was unstoppable in that postseason, but if he just hung one pitch, remember he was on pitching 5 innings that game. If he just hung one pitch and Salvador Perez hit a home run, the Royals would have won the World Series. Instead, he popped up. It's happened a couple other times where a World Series champion was one swing. It's happened several times in the division series. It happened several times in the championship series. Hell, the California Angels got to within one strike of winning the World Series and one swing in back-to-back innings to win the ALCS in 1986. They didn't get it. The 80 Astros also almost got to the World Series. But the other teams that got to within one swing of winning the World Series, the 1962 Giants, when Ralph Terry was pitching, Matty Lou was on first, and the Giants were losing 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth. Felipe Alou struck out, Chuck Hiller struck out, and then Willie Mays hit a double. And for reasons that nobody knows, they held Matty Alou at third. He would have been the tying run. They held him at third. And now, so instead of tying the game, second and third, Willie McCovey came up. Now, everybody remembers the fact that he hit a line drive right at Bobby Richards. If it was a little bit higher, a little bit further, it would have gone into right field, and Alou and Mays would have scored, and the Giants would have won the World Series. But before that, McCovey hit a deep drive that looked like a walk-off home run that hooked foul. If it didn't hook foul, then Ralph Terry would have let up World Series clinching home runs in 2 out of 3 years. Instead, he became the World Series MVP. But that 62 Giant team that had Alou and Mays and McCovey and Marichal and Orlando Cepeda and so many other Giant legends would have won the World Series. Instead, the Yankees won. In 1958, the Milwaukee Braves got to within one swing of winning the World Series, which would have been back-to-back World Series titles in Game 6. With Ryan Duran pitching for the Yankees and the score tied at 2-2, the 1 run would have won it. And Wes Covington struck out, and Bill Bruton struck out, and then Warren Spahn struck out. With one swing away from winning the World Series, they let the pitcher hit. Can you imagine a manager doing that now? Then, in the very next inning, in the bottom of the 10th, Ryan Duran still pitching with 2 outs and Hank Aaron on first, Joe Adcock to the plate. And if he hit a home run, the Braves would have won the World Series. He got a single. Bob Turley came in, Frank Torrey came up with a chance to win the World Series for Milwaukee, and he lined out to second. The 52 Dodgers got to within one swing of winning the World Series. And then Allie Reynolds with 1 out and a runner on first, and the Yankees leading by 1 got Andy Pafko and Billy Cox to ground out. The wildest one was in 1926, Game 7. Future Hall of Famer Grover Cleveland Alexander, a starting pitcher, threw a complete game the night before, came in relief. Babe Ruth was on first. The Yankees were losing 3-2, and Bob Musial, who was a tremendous hitter on that team, was at the plate, and a home run by Bob Musial would have won the World Series for the Yankees. But he never got the shot because Babe Ruth decided to try to steal second base and was thrown out. So that team that was one swing away from winning the World Series didn't get that swing. Will the Blue Jays be the next one on that list? Or will this be an example of a team that could have clinched, but they came back and clinched later anyway? We'll find out. We'll find out for sure. We will see who the great hero of this World Series is coming up. Let's just go through the trivia question for today, which is, what 1980s slugger hit 2 World Series home runs on his birthday? Not one home run. His birthday was in October, came up to play on his birthday, and hit 2 home runs. Which 80s slugger did that in the World Series? And thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB game night, every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned later tonight. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB game night, Locked On MLB on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's late. I got to do Wordle. Talking about Game 6 of the World Series, the possibility of the Blue Jays joining a really bad fraternity, and the fact that the hero is going to wake up today, November 1st, not knowing they're about to become immortal. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.